Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Chabot News for the week of May 2nd, 2018. My name is Ariel Webb, and in today's news, we will be covering Concord's drastic complex fire, tips on coming out victorious during finals, and the #1 draft pick of the NFL. All that and more coming up on Chabot News. Towering flames ripped through an apartment complex under construction in Concord just before 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. 250 people were displaced from their nearby complex, and 2 people suffered from minor smoke inhalation, according to fire officials. The blaze, which broke out in the area of Galindo Street and Concord Boulevard, was pronounced under control after an hours-long onslaught from firefighters, but the building is considered to be a total loss, with approximately $55 million in damages. It is not clear when the displaced residents from the nearby apartment building will be allowed to return to their homes, according to fire officials. Crews are evaluating the stability of the structure that was torched. There is a risk that the burned structure could collapse entirely. In a stunning new development, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to close down nuclear test sites in May. The comments were made in a summit with South Korean President Moon Jae-in last Friday. Both Korean leaders were hopeful in moving forward to the denuclearization of Korean Peninsula, but did not state specifics. Kim also expressed excitement about his upcoming meeting with Trump, promising to show him that he is not the type of person to fire missiles at the U.S., a spokesperson for Kim translated. This has been just another step by North Korea to facilitate communication and build relations with both the U.S. and South Korea. In a press release Wednesday with law enforcement officials from across the state, Sacramento County District Attorney Ann Schubert announced the arrest of a man suspected of terrorizing residents from Sacramento to the Bay Area and Southern California, beginning with a string of rapes in the mid-1970s, according to The Bee. His nearly 60 female victims ranged in age from 13 to 41. D'Angelo worked as a police officer for 2 California agencies, according to authorities. He first worked as a police officer for the Exeter Police Department in Central Valley from 1973 to 1976. D'Angelo also worked for the Auburn Police Department from August 1976 to September 1979, according to the Auburn city manager. Now let's send it over to Chris for everything in entertainment.
Thanks, Ariel. She's wonderful, isn't she? Okay, now, within recent weeks, social media has been blazing with the most Twitter rants in history. And no, we're not talking about Donald Trump. This time, it's Chicago native Kanye West. Now, for months and months of hiding away from the social media spotlight, Mr. West has made his grand return to Twitter. But many people, including his fans, were quickly disappointed from his tweets. So, what's the problem, you may ask? Simple. All of his tweets are in support of, wait for it, Donald Trump. Ugh. Yes, many people like to argue that Kanye is trolling at his finest to promote his many upcoming albums. But after his little rants of saying 400 years of slavery was a choice, people are now just over it. Hashtag we miss the old Kanye. And our next story for the entertainment news this week, Oakland native Kehlani is more than just a pretty face with an amazing voice. She has a great heart and plans to use her platform for the sake of good. Now, partnering up with Fashion Nova, Kehlani is able to donate $50,000 to the many LGBT centers across the nation. So, Kehlani recently admitted on Twitter that she is not only attracted to men and women, but to people of all walks of life. The only thing we want to know, that's nice to know, really nice, but the only thing we want to know is, when is the next album coming out? Anyway, all we have to say is, Good job, Kehlani, and keep up the good work. And that's all for entertainment this week. And now back to you, Ariel.
Thanks, Chris, for covering the entertainment news. What was supposed to be a lighthearted dinner attended by journalists in the administration turned into a night of jaws-dropping and silence after one comedian's roast. Comedian Michelle Wolf went all in at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner this past Saturday, aiming her comedic crosshairs at both Trump and members of his administration. For over 20 minutes, Wolf used her time to poke fun at President Trump, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, Vice President Mike Pence, as well as others in an almost X-rated roast and critique on the GOP and current administration. Many in attendance were noticeably uncomfortable, while some left the event altogether. President Trump, of course, was not in attendance for the event for the second time in a row. There's only 15 days before finals week, so today I wanted to share 3 tips on how to prepare for the end of the semester. Tip number 1, make sure you actually show up to class. These last few days are super important because most classes begin prepping for the final, and you definitely want to get a high grade. Tip number 2, check your grades. If you have straight A's, I need to copy your homework. But if not, talk to your professors on how you can improve your grades. Most of the time, cool professors will let you turn in missed assignments for partial credit. The last tip is to stay focused. Don't kick your feet up yet. You have to finish strong and keep applying yourself until you turn in your last final. You can do it. Now let's switch it over to Cody to cover the top 5 and food news of the week.
Thanks, Ariel. This week's top 5 is going to be about the best music festivals around the world to go to other than Coachella. Number 5, Primavera Sound in Barcelona, Spain. The festival has always succeeded in bringing together its lineup both in the latest independent music and artists with a consolidated career while presenting all styles and genres. Number 4, Pitchfork Festival in Chicago, Illinois. Started by the music festival of the same name, it has been around for almost 10 years. Number 3, Bonnaroo in Manchester, Tennessee. A 4-day music festival in the heart of the South, only 1 hour from Nashville. Number 2, Governor's Ball in New York, New York. The festival has featured an array of genres and styles of music, as well as local food and big city backgrounds. Number 1, of course, in California, FYF in Los Angeles. Started by 19-year-old Sean Carson, later to be turned over to Coachella mega company Golden Voice to continue on. Although FYF's popularity is not as big as Coachella or EDC, the festival showcases popular and established music artists, and as notable artists include Janet Jackson, Kanye West, Morrissey, Flume, Bjork, Kendrick Lamar, Grace Jones, Frank Ocean, LCD Sound System, and of course, Missy Elliott. The paleo diet is the new food trend of 2018, and it's been around for millions of years. The paleo diet involves the fact that our body could be healthier if we just ate the same way as our ancestors did. It also has been called the hunter's diet or the caveman's diet, but of course without all the heavily processed foods. The paleo diet claims that we should eliminate processed foods because our bodies were not made to digest these. Here are some food recommendations for the paleo diet: meat, nuts, plants, seeds, and roots and vegetables. You should also avoid eating lignans, grains, salt, sugar, dairy, and all processed food. The paleo diet is about creating lean muscle and consuming foods that create fast energy. It's not always recommended to eat low-carb foods, and the diet is often called high-fat, but this does not mean that you can't try some low-carb recipes as well. The diet doesn't involve endless counting your calories, and this is the main reason why most people like it. It's more relaxed than other food diets. That is it for food news. Now we're going to turn it to Laura Berger, who will be talking about whether plant-based proteins as well as animal-based proteins, as well as interview some doctors and get their opinion on the question.
Understanding what kinds of food provide the best health outcomes is an important area of research. In particular, the types of protein we eat, both animal and plant-based, can have long-term effects on overall health. A new study examined how diets heavy in either animal or plant-based protein sources can influence mortality.
Overall, the association between protein and risk of dying of chronic disease seems to be very much dependent on the type of protein source. Those individuals that consume protein mostly from animal sources tended to have worse outcomes compared to those individuals that consume their protein from plant-based sources.
Dr. Andrew Chan from Massachusetts General Hospital and co-authors looked at more than 131,000 adults participating in 2 long-running national health studies. Researchers reviewed detailed food questionnaires that were sent to the participants every 4 years. The study appears in JAMA Internal Medicine.
Protein is one of the 3 macronutrients for our body. So it is important for body structure, physiology, and metabolism. High intake of animal protein is associated with higher mortality, and high intake of plant-based protein is associated with lower mortality. And these associations are stronger among people with unhealthy lifestyle factors.
Catherine Dolph, The JAMA Report.
Thanks, Laura. Did you know that today is Scurvy Awareness Day? According to the Oxford Pocket Dictionary of Current English, scurvy, also known as scorbutus, is a disease caused by a deficiency of vitamin C. Symptoms of scurvy are swollen, bleeding gums, tooth loss, opening of previously healed wounds, and muscle weakness, which particularly affected malnourished sailors until the end of the 18th century. Scurvy is not just a pirate disease. Regular people can get it too. Although the cure for scurvy has been known for centuries, hundreds are diagnosed with it each year in the U.S. and around the world. Scurvy can be prevented by eating a couple of servings of citrus fruits and vegetables, such as bell peppers and broccoli, per week. Eat your veggies, be safe, and don't be scurvy. The city of Hayward is going green. City Council voted to require all homes and businesses in the city to switch away from PG&E and start buying power from a nonprofit provider called East Bay Community Energy. 100% renewable electricity will be available to citizens, making Hayward the largest city in the Bay Area with green energy. How is this possible? Well, with a few years ago, the Hayward Water Treatment Facility was using some of the most electricity in the city. So they built a 1 megawatt solar farm. According to Hayward City Council member Al Mendel, it is now the single largest producer and exporter of clean, green, renewable power. Now here's Dan with everything in sports.
Thanks, Ariel. Now coming in at 6'1" and 215 pounds, this quarterback from the University of Oklahoma was the NFL's #1 draft pick. Baker Mayfield was drafted to the Cleveland Browns, but the excitement for the game is as great as the fans' anticipation for him to turn around the combined record of 32 and 67 from the last QB selected by the Browns. Good luck, big fella. You have a tough road ahead of you. Unbelievable. Sean Mania throws a no-hitter Saturday night versus the Boston Red Sox. Again, wow. Mania threw the 31st complete game no-hitter this decade. Let that sink in like a Mania curveball for a minute. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see him pitch in the playoffs. I said it. Playoffs. Thanks for the history, Sean. Let's go A's. Now back to you, Ariel.
Thanks, Dan. You're never too old to rave. The Posh Club in London offers a weekly tea party rave to seniors age 60 and up. The tea party raves are hosted to combat elderly isolation, as well as to promote friendship making and revelry. Club producer Dickie Eaton says, "What we're doing is really an anti-loneliness campaign presented as a club event. A lot of our guests maybe don't get out as much as they once did and don't see their friends as often. Well, this provides a unique way to do both, while also being part of something that's vibrant and exciting. Just because you reach a certain age doesn't mean you don't want to have fun anymore." Oftentimes, there are crutches and walkers left on the dance floor after a rave at the Posh Club. One woman even had to be taken to the hospital for forgetting her daily meds because she was having so much fun. The Posh Club challenges the idea that senior life should be tame and gentle by including alcohol and live music at their events. Hopefully this senior nightclub in England will inspire elderly dance clubs in America. Well, that wraps it up for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. Watch us anytime online at youtube.com/ChabotTV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 for more Chabot TV.